Alright, so here's a story that I'm pretty sure some of you will find as juicy as a 73. 27 beef patty cooked in a skillet. Now, I'm a pretty laid-back guy, always have been. But my ex-wife, she seemed to be under the impression that our marital bond was more of a suggestion than a commitment. A real character, let me tell you. It all started when I found out my lovely spouse was cheating on me with a member from our country club. That's right, our damn country club, the one we spent countless Sundays in playing golf, engaging in those insufferable brunches. It wasn't just some random member either, it was Frank, the husband half of the obnoxious duo Frank and Darla. Quite the soap opera, right? Now, how did I find this out? Well, not from any clandestine private investigator or a sudden burst of sixth sense. It was her own incompetence. She'd stashed risque photos and lovey-dovey emails in a second email account on her phone, thinking she'd covered her tracks. A modern-day Mata Hari she was not. When confronted, she played the innocent card, denied it all, until I unveiled my hand. The photos, the emails. It was like watching a painting of a porcelain doll shatter. She crumbled, all pretense gone, and pleaded for my forgiveness. Quite the Oscar-winning performance, but I wasn't buying any tickets. I told her straight up that she was only sorry because she got caught, not because she felt any actual regret. Her face went white as a sheet. She asked me what I planned on doing. I responded with the sweet sound of silence. It was like being at war, and you wouldn't reveal your battle plans to your enemy, would you? That's exactly how I saw it. I'd declared war. For a week I acted as if things were normal while she was a nervous wreck, fumbling her words, making more mistakes than a rookie juggler. But I kept my cool. Behind the scenes, I was setting my plan into motion. I filed for divorce and had my lawyer working on the details. I hadn't revealed this tidbit to her yet, keeping my cards close to my chest. Then came the golden opportunity, the country club's quarterly banquet. Frank was the club president, with his annoying wife Darla always at his side. I volunteered to speak at the event. I could practically hear my wife's heart pounding in her chest when I told her. It was like watching a deer in the headlights, the fear all too evident in her eyes. The day came. There we were, dressed to the nines, sitting among the town's high and mighty. As I rose to take the stage, I saw my wife's knuckles turn white, gripping the tablecloth like it was her only lifeline. I began my speech talking about seizing control of your life, not letting circumstances beyond your control shape or define you. Pretty ironic considering the circumstances, eh? The climax of my presentation involved passing envelopes to everyone in the room. I instructed them to wait for my command to open them. You could practically cut the tension with a knife. The eyes of all attendees darted nervously between the envelopes and me. My wife looked like she'd seen a ghost, sweat rolling down her forehead as she clenched her unopened envelope. As my speech neared its end, I gave the command. The room fell silent as the members of the country club opened their envelopes. And then it erupted. The envelopes contained the pictures and emails I'd found, pictures and all. Frank's treachery was laid bare. My wife's deceit was in plain view, and Darla was shell-shocked, witnessing her husband's betrayal. So there they were, all the skeletons out of the closet, dancing about in the light of day. Frank looked like he'd just swallowed a bug, his face turning green. Darla. She was staring at the photos like they were an alien artifact, her face going from pale to flaming red. As for my wife, she was in the eye of this shitstorm, her eyes wide and horrified. The aftermath was just as chaotic as you'd imagine. Frank, the beloved club president, was stripped of his title faster than a race car zipping on a straightaway. He'd gone from top dog to the town pariah in the span of an evening. Darla was inconsolable, her sobs echoing through the hall. The realization that her husband had been playing her for a fool was hitting her harder than a ton of bricks. As for my wife, the social butterfly that she was abruptly plucked out of all her social circles. It was like watching a queen get dethroned. Word spread like wildfire through our town, and she was quickly labeled as the home wrecker. The shame and humiliation were written all over her face. I couldn't help but take a bit of satisfaction in that. Okay, I got a lot of satisfaction from that, actually. But the piece de resistance was when I announced my resignation from the club. Imagine that. Not only had they lost their president, but they were also losing a long-standing member. The room was so silent you could hear a pin drop. My wife looked at me with a mixture of shock, betrayal, and desperation. But I had severed my ties with the club, and with her. I packed up my life, took my online business, and moved to a new city. A fresh start, leaving the drama, the lies, and the heartache behind. My wife was left to face the fallout of her choices, and Frank, Well, let's just say he had his own battles to fight. As for me, I was finally free from a toxic relationship and a suffocating town. In the end, I guess you could say that my revenge was sweet, like a chocolate souffle straight out of the oven. There's a certain satisfaction that comes from reclaiming your life, from taking a stand. Maybe it was petty, maybe it was harsh, but for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was back in the driver's seat of my life. No regrets, just lessons learned, and a future wide open with possibilities. Here's an update from 1 year later. Well, time for an update on how everyone's doing. Let's start with the aftermath of my little surprise at the country club. The divorce proceedings were smoother than expected. Fortunately, I had started my online business before meeting my wife. I was able to retain full ownership due to this fact. The only thing she got was a monthly maintenance schedule, which, thanks to the thriving nature of my business, was more than affordable. Let's call it the price of trying for love. As for my ex-wife, her efforts to find employment in a town where her reputation was tarnished proved fruitless. I guess being labeled the town homewrecker isn't an appealing quality to prospective employers. Eventually, she decided to pack up and leave, probably in search of greener and less judgmental pastures. Frank, oh poor Frank, he got the raw end of the deal. His divorce was not as forgiving as mine. He ended up losing a large portion of his business to Darla. Guess it's true what they say, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Frank had to liquidate and start from scratch. It's funny how chronology and timing can drastically change the course of your life, right? Now let's get to the more enjoyable part of the update, shall we? I started dating a lovely woman, a breath of fresh air compared to my ex-wife. But let me assure you, marriage isn't on my radar. Nope, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. For now, I'm content with dating, expanding my business, and enjoying the fun parts of life. In fact, I've even rekindled my passion for playing the piano, something I had put on hold during my marriage. It's amazing what you can do when you're not constantly trying to navigate through marital landmines. The dream now is to form an 80s retro wave band, just for kicks. Who knows, maybe I'll even post some of our tracks here someday. So there you have it, folks. My life took a 180-degree turn, but I came out the other side better, happier, and with a new lease on life. Always remember, it's never too late to regain control and live your life the way you want to. Well, luckily he was able to get away for a lot less than most do. What do you guys think? That was some good revenge, but what could have made that hit even harder? Let me know your thoughts. When you subscribe, be sure to click the notification bell. Click here for more Tangled threads.